It is not glamorous. Not even a little bit. You know, people are naked or half naked. They're eating. You're on your, like, sometimes I'm on my knees doing makeup, you know, or pulling hair this way. But oh, so freaking good. The intensity of it all is just magnanimous. I get my energy from the sun. The sun are people to me. You know, I'm not the kind of person that I want to sit in the room by myself. People make me extraordinarily happy. They bring me true joy. And I always hope and pray that when I'm around them, they feel that.
What do the Tony Awards, Vogue magazine, and Bob Iger all have in common? If you don't know, he's the president of Disney. Well, that is Danielle Waugh, the queen of makeup artists, the celebrity makeup artist. She's going to talk to us today about what it means to work in the industry, how she got there, and what it means if you are thinking about being a makeup artist in this world. So I can't wait to dive into what she has to say today. Welcome, Danielle.
I'm like, who is she talking about? It feels so surreal. Thanks for having me, Celeste. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show, finally.
I know.
So Miss Danielle, she has done my hair and makeup for today because, you know, she truly is gifted. And when I tell you, we met through a friend, and that's usually how a lot of my guests come on my show. I've either met them at a mastermind or through a friend. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think she knew you too well, but... No,
we're definitely closer than she and I were, you and her are. So we've kind of pushed her out, and now we're together, and we're married, and that's it. We're just in love at this point, but it's been a great time meeting you and even glamming you today for this. I feel like we're in sync completely forever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
She has gotten me ready for my last two New York Fashion Weeks, and that's always been super fun and exciting. But
always exciting.
I know. So I've written a few questions because I feel that some of the audience is really curious to get to know you. I want them to get to know you on a level that I do. So
got you.
You've worked with some of the most powerful names across politics, art, and Broadway. Mm-hmm. So what's one thing that every high-profile client has in common when they sit in your chair?
I would say the vulnerability to show their insecurities. I think that we place these people on this pedestal thinking that they feel, I guess, maybe better than, or like they operate on some higher level or playing field than we do. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they're just human beings. They bleed like we do. So I feel when they're in my chair with me, and this is why it's always paramount for me to make sure that they feel comfortable, because they do let their guard down. At the end of the day, I'm in their crown, you know, I'm in their space completely. So I'm allowed to see their insecurities and vulnerabilities. And that is consistent across the board with everybody.
I love that you said that, because me just going into the celebrity world also, right? You just have to, they're humans. They're just like us. They have insecurities like us. And like you said, they are vulnerable because you're in their most vulnerable place. Is like their face and their hair.
Correct. And I feel like that relationship has to be honored, has to be coveted. You know, it's very sacred to have someone in such that intimate place with you. You know, it's a lot of trust there. So I really, really honor the space that I share with them, and feel blessed that they feel comfortable to even have that space with me.
Yeah, that's so great. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it truly is just, we're people, and we all want to feel beautiful.
Exactly. We all want to feel that. It's just one of those things, you know. So I always say, people always ask a lot of questions about celebrities, but like I said, that's the common thread. That thing where we all have this thing about us, you know, and it could be the smallest thing that nobody sees but us. And it could be something that was planted when we were kids or from parents, whatever it is, but we all walk around with something. And I think it's always helpful to have people in your circle, your cipher, that helps to kind of change that narrative, that one thing that you see bad about yourself or as a negative, to try to twist it into a positive, you know? So,
I love that.
Yeah.
This next question, I want to get to know you a little bit.
Dig in.
Tell me your story. What was the moment you realized beauty was more than just makeup. It was really your mission.
I guess it's twofold for me. So I got into the beauty industry because of my insecurity. Somebody made me bald. So
Wait, what?
when I know, trust no one, but me, obviously. But when I was younger, I was going to junior prom. And from a Caribbean household, anything that was too embracing of your femininity, whether that means it's, certain colors or dresses or hairstyles or heels, it just seemed too adult. So I was going to my junior prom, and the only thing I was allowed to get done was get my eyebrows done. And at the time, the only place that we knew where that service was provided was the nail salon. They would do your wax in the back.
Yeah.
So I was so excited, I couldn't get everything, but I got this one thing. So it made me feel really grown. And I get to the back and I, lay on the table, and she's half speaking in English, half speaking in I don't know what language. And I'm like, yeah, just excited to be there. And she does the wax and everything is fine. And I go to junior prom feeling like the belle of the ball, feeling really cute, really cutesy. And I notice now I am approaching a month before high school, and my brow hair is not growing back. And it turns out that the wax that she used was too hot, so it burned my hair follicles. But as a young girl, you always hear beauty is pain, and I was sitting there thinking that it's supposed to feel that way. That's probably what, adult women are feeling. And I'm just young and I'm just not used to it or expectant of it. But it burned my hair follicles and it never grew back. So here I was going into high school, and all the girls had these nice full brows and I had none. And at the time, black brows were a thing. So I'd borrow my mother's black pencil and just kind of fill my brows in gently. And therein started the monster, where I realized you had the ability to, again, with the insecurity, tweak something with the purchase of something. Because you would never think that just buying something to tweak a look could change how you felt. But I felt like I was armored for like the grittiness that came with going into high school and the visibility of being a teenage girl. But it made me feel really good. And that's when I realized, I'm onto something. But to, I think, get to the further point of me getting into this part of what has become my career, that came many, many, many years later. From a Caribbean household, this was not allowed. This is shameful. This is a no-no, what I'm doing.
Why is that?
Because I feel like immigrant parents, they struggle so much to get you here. It's a sacrifice. It's not easy to come here and build a family. So the idea is that you are the generation that's going to carry the family name forward. The weight of the, I don't want to say the world, but the weight of the legacy is on you. So you have to be better, and the children you have to be better, and so forth and so on. I think every family has that vision, but I think it's even stronger when it comes to non-American families. There's a lot of things that I feel American families have that other people from different countries don't have. So when you're here, it's like you better make something of yourself. We don't have time to play.
Okay.
We're not wasting time. We're not wasting money. We're not wasting energy. This is a purpose and you have to fulfill it. So even the idea of being in the industry, which I had no idea of the magnitude of what this could be, not even a little bit, it was a no. It was a no. So I wanted to be Matlock. I tell people that all the time. I was like, I'm going to be the first Black female Matlock. That's going to be me. I love a good argument. Oh, I love a good argument. I will argue you down to the ground. And when you're down there, stomp on you with another argument because I'm right. I'm right.
Oh my God.
So he was the first person I saw that was always able to solve a case no matter what. And I was just fascinated by it. And to watch him play around the courtroom and just kind of have those aha moments with people, like, I got you. I got you. So fascinated. And so I started my journey and I went to school and I was being a lawyer and all that whole thing. And I remember talking to my professor and she said, why do you want to be a lawyer so bad? I said, again, I love to argue it down. I want to plead a case. I know I'm right. She said, well, Danielle, a lot of cases don't happen in the courtroom. I was like, what you mean? What you talking about? And she says, it just doesn't. Like, that's an extreme version of it, but a lot of cases are litigated. It's a lot of library work. It's a lot of black and white, a lot of negotiations before you get to that point. I was surprised and heartbroken and just like, what the F now? But still, this hadn't come to me again till years and years and years later.
Okay, now you're leaving me on the hook here.
I'm leaving you on the hook. Well, I'll wait for the next question, and then I'm going to circle it back to this.
All right, I'll do that. Okay. So here are a couple questions, like for the audience here. What are 3 common mistakes people make on camera, makeup, like with their makeup, and how can they fix it to look more polished and confident on video? Because I think a lot of my audience are entrepreneurs and speakers, right? So they're in front of the camera, and they don't always have a makeup artist on hand.
Right. I think thinking that a look is a one size fits all, right? I think when we look at someone, we say, oh my God, I like his or her look. What you're really picking up on is their energy. You style people. 2 people can be wearing the same exact outfit and one wears it much better. Not necessarily because of body type. It's something that they bring out of it. Yes, there's colors and patterns and even the way something is tailored that completely enhances the look and helps it. But at the same time, some people just got it, some people don't. So I say someone will look at someone and say, hey, I want to look like X, Y, and Z. And they go in front of the camera and they'll replicate a look that they saw in someone else that is completely not for them. You have to be open to finding your look and going into what's true to you. So even though you may see something looks great on someone else, it just may not look great on you. Like right now, we are thankfully coming out of this horrible overly lash trend where it's like clawing out of your eyeballs. Horrible. Nobody's interested in that. But people will see that and think, oh my God, that's trendy. I want to do it. Yeah. So I feel like following trends all the time, it's not good. You want to stay in a classic beauty space where your look travels throughout time with you. It evolves with you. Someone shouldn't be able to see you and stamp you in the 90s, early 2000s, 50s, whatever it is. So I feel, staying true to your look, finding your defined look, not staying or sticking on a trend. And I think having fun with it, trying new things. And then I guess to trying new things is finding an artist that can help cater to your look and your feel and what you're going for, so that when you're seeing yourself on camera, it resonates. Because sometimes what we envision ourselves as is not what we're portraying, So I feel like if there's something coming along where you're going to be photographed or recorded, take the time to maybe take your iPhone out and just see what you look like, record yourself, get familiar with it so that when you're there, it's not like, well, I don't like X, Y, and Z. I didn't expect it to come out this way. Take those steps. I think it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't know how to put on makeup that translates to camera. So I'm getting better just because I keep having experiences from you and a few others around the world that I've been doing. I've been with my recordings, but there is an art to having your makeup translate to camera because it is different. One, the lights diminish color.
Correct.
So you've got to do it heavier, which has always been a challenge for me.
Yes, that's true.
And then there's also that perception of when I'm looking in the mirror, maybe it's the contour, maybe it's the shadows that you see versus not the shadows that I see,
Yeah. I would definitely say in that case, like, to go into lighting, how someone would light you versus how they would light me is very different.
Yeah.
So having someone that speaks that color theory language when it comes to lighting you is paramount if you can get that. I think since we've gotten to a place where technology has advanced quite a bit, sometimes less is more. Because when you do too much foundation or powder, it can become very heavy and cakey, and I feel settle into fine lines and it becomes more visible. Okay. So what you're trying to actually mask becomes enhanced, So I feel in those ways. And again, taking a look at yourself in your iPhone, your Android, whatever you have, in natural light, which is the best sunlight. In your bathroom, just different lighting and kind of seeing what that looks like and getting adjusted to what works for you, knowing your colors. The first step is just knowing your foundation color, not piling it on. And even before we get to that, I always say the best canvas is your canvas. So take care of it before you even think about getting into makeup. One of the big mistakes I wouldn't say mistakes, but one of the encounters I often have is someone saying, oh my God, I have this texture and that going on. I'm like, girl, I can't do nothing for ya. You got to pray to the Lord for that. You always want to make sure that you're maintaining your canvas. It goes a long way so that when I am putting something on it, it's just like butter, but maintaining your canvas, finding the perfect foundation. Wear quite a few colors throughout the year. We're lighter in the winter time. We're a little bit warmer in the summertime. So I like to always mix. I'm a mixologist. I do like a mixed drink too. But I definitely like to mix because I feel like there is such a rare occasion where you're able to find one shade that matches you completely. We're a little bit lighter in the center of our face and a little bit warmer around the perimeter, so mixing to find your perfect shade works. And then again, even though we're lighter in the winter and a little bit warmer in the summertime, even in the spring, we're not completely, darker yet. And even in the fall, we're not completely lighter yet. So again, I feel like mixing shades to kind of have that maybe even 4-season color for yourself works. And then also I feel like there's people who like to see themselves a little bit lighter or warmer on camera, knowing if you feel maybe washed out, then bronze yourself up. If you feel like maybe you're reading a little bit too dark or bringing out, accentuating too many of the darker features, warmer features on your face, lighten it up. But that's, again, knowing your canvas, again, working with an expert.
Yes.
To figure some things out. But I feel like even with that, if you're really trying to garner your image, investing in that time and that patience and the products will help you a long way.
Agreed. And I think a great foundation is key. Yes, taking care of your skin, eating healthy, drinking enough water. Don't drink before you have a photo shoot. I made this mistake. I was styling a couple of celebrities and it was a big deal for me.
Yeah, go Celeste.
Except, thank you, except for the fact I had a couple drinks the night before because I was celebrating. I was so excited. And then I was like, oh, damn, my face was swollen.
Oh, no.
And all the things. So just make sure to
drink responsibly.
You can drink. Just wait till after.
Well, the funny thing, too, is that a lot of celebrities drink before they get on the red carpet. They get very nervous, too. They get very nervous. So there's drinking, there's a little puff. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes just so that they can feel in their skin. Because I feel like once they hit that red carpet, when the doors open from their car service and they're out there, it's like another being. So something to kind of help them feel grounded so they're not like in this frenzy of the moment is always helpful. So don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. But a little something to take the edge off for whoever is into that kind of thing seems to have gone a long way for many.
I love it. Great advice.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's it really like to get someone ready for the Tony Awards or Vogue magazine?
So red carpet award shows are very different. You have multiple people in whatever situation. So whether it's someone's home or a hotel room or a hall, there's this canvas almost sitting there. And I always ask, like, how do you feel? Because someone's pulling at your hair, someone's pushing at your face, someone's tugging at your waistline, and someone's talking to you about the lay of the land for the day. And it's just a lot going on. It is not glamorous. Not even a little bit. People are naked or half naked. They're eating. You're on sometimes I'm on my knees doing makeup, or pulling hair this way. It is not what you think it is, which I love because it's smoke and mirrors so that when the person is finally ready, you would never be the wiser as to what's happening behind the scenes. But it is very high energy, very high stress. But it's worth it. And there's also like a lot of prep leading up to it. We don't just kind of walk in and say, we're going to do this look. If the celebrity knows the event that they're going to, which they usually do unless something happens last minute and they get invited, there's weeks of prep, like color coordinating what they want to do, the color that they want to show up in, the type of styling that they want to do, what image they want to show up, and then coordinating that with the actual event, whether it's an award show or if they're actually even presenting. Like, there's so many layers to it before you even get to that point, but it's pure chaos, pure madness, but oh, so freaking good. Oh, so I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, this, I don't know, the intensity of it all is just magnanimous.
I think there's a few makeup artists and hairdressers, even stylists that can deal with that type of energy.
That's actually very correct. It is very, very high strung. You almost have to, I like to say, see and not see, hear and not hear, feel and not feel. You're almost going in conscious but very numb, very numb. And also leaving your ego at the door. Because there's moments where you may have discussed the style, 3 or 4 weeks before and several times in between that leading up to the date. And you get there and you do it and the person's like, I don't like it. And you're like, but you said,
So you're like, okay.
Exactly.
We'll make the changes.
Okay, what don't you like about it this time? What's happening? And again, that's where you check the ego at the door. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about this person and their image. And you better get it right or you won't get called again, So, and that's a heavy weight to carry, but it's intense and it's not for the faint of heart. I've seen many artists, because we're artists and they say we're sensitive about our ish. As Erykah Badu would say, but can't do it. It's about them and how they feel. So if you have to rewind and come again 10 times, do it. And it only makes you stronger, I feel. It enhances and masterfully creates and enhances your artistry,
I would imagine it also, you develop people skills at a level that you probably would never have just working with a typical person going to maybe, like a bride or because they're like, okay, you're going to do magic and I trust you.
And you're like, yes, I called Scott on the hotline today. And he said, I got you, sister girl. It's a lot. And I feel like some people are naturally born to cater to people, to serve. And others aren't. And in some regards, it can be taught. And in some regards, it isn't. Because I feel if you're not consistently in the business or the natural nature of serving, this is not going to be for you.
Yeah.
This is not going to be for you, because it's really all about making sure the person feels seen and that they're in their own skin, So it's, again, you're here and you're not here. I tell my clients, like, I'm here and I'm not here. Like, even like with you, like, can I get you anything? I'm like, girl, I'm here and I'm not here. And you're like, no, but you are here. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like I'm supposed to almost appear and disappear.
Well, you and I are the same.
Yes.
We really are. We are pleasers. We do cater to
very much
high-end clients. And so it just naturally comes to me. So you're in my space, I'm going to do the same. You're my guest.
We can't help it.
You're still my guest.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's just who we are, like you said, And I feel like that's what separates, the prey from the, I guess the alternative word, which I can't even think of right now.
The hunter and the prey.
Yes, there we go. Thanks, girl.
You're welcome.
That's exactly what it is, because just everybody can't handle it. It is very intense.
Yep.
It is very intense. So I feel like if you are naturally equipped with this very small but major thing, it just makes this experience in our world much easier.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And then you get to see the finished product. And that, as an artist, stylist, makeup, just artist in general, a creative person, same with me. It's like the end product. You're like, oh, like
heaven
gorgeous.
Sent. I love it so much, because you're like, wow. You ever get that feeling where you feel like you surprised yourself with what you did?
Yes.
It just
all the time.
It's just like, oh my God.
How did I doubt myself so much?
I know. You more than did that. More than did that, to the point where people are just like, oh, so and so's look, I really love that, and then you'll get highlighted here and there. And it's like, wow, when other people start, especially I feel like when your peers acknowledge, like, wow, you're really doing it, it feels different.
It does.
It feels different. Because I feel like there's many times because I feel like as long as I'm alive and provided the opportunities, I want to take advantage of it to continue to grow. So when I'm in a space where my peers are like, wow, you did that, I'm like, I did. I really did. And it's not a like, wow, I did that. It's like, I did, because sometimes I surprise myself. And I feel like that's the gift of maybe a little naivete that I still have about, like, there's always more. There's always more that can be done. There's always shifts that can happen. There's so much more that you can grow and create, and I love that evolution of what it can be, which is beauty.
Yeah.
Always evolving.
And I love what you say, that confidence really comes with how beautiful you feel.
Yeah, hands down.
And I know that's a lot of in her beauty.
Yes.
A lot of your mission and your values as a business.
Correct.
So that really leads me into the next question. Is your company, In Her Beauty, serves all genders, all ages and cultures. How do you redefine beauty standards in such a diverse and often exclusive industry?
That's a really good question, Celeste. I feel like I'm almost like a fly on the wall sometimes, peering in at behind the curtains of what's going on with people. Again, I think to go back to my point before about being in your own skin and knowing what beauty is for you, like what that means to you, and not trying to make it a one size fits all, I think is the first step. When I'm with people, I'm naturally a people person. If you guys haven't realized, Celeste knows we're the same kind of energy. So I feel like this is just a gift on top of a gift. I feel very blessed to live in my two passions, which I always say is making people feel good, and making them look good. I cannot believe I've been able to find that synergy and make it a career. It is a blessing. It is a blessing. I get my energy from the sun. The sun are people to me. I'm not the kind of person that I want to sit in the room by myself. People make me extraordinarily happy. They bring me true joy. And I always hope and pray that when I'm around them, they feel that. A little bit of my light catches on to them. I want them to always feel much better when I'm around them and when I've left them than as if I'd never come in at all. So I feel like that's a space that I'm able to tap into, and it has created a plethora of opportunities. And I think just simply being me, and my mom and my dad raised me with that, but I didn't know how important it was until I was fully in my skin, which came, I feel like, in my 20s, where it's like simply being you is more than enough. And it has carved out so many opportunities and has created space for the type of client that is more like me. I don't have a lot of drama, crazy filled clients who are ridiculous or mean spirited or no, and I'm also not interested, just not. And then if I walk in the room and they have that energy, I'm just like, hey, and they're like almost a little tweaked out, like, why are you so nice? I'm like, because I am. Why are you so mean? But I feel like I always want my energy to latch on to them. And I'll take a little bit of your heavy stuff. I'll walk out with that and I'll be able to leave it out, outside. But it's important to me that you feel like the best version of yourself when I'm around, so that you now are armored for whatever's coming your way. So I feel like that's been my thing in this space.
That's your superpower.
It is my superpower. I just, like, wow.
Yeah.
I
felt that the first time I met you, because I was
same.
I was just so excited to go to, a fashion week that was
so major.
It was my second one, but I also had 3 clients with me.
I remember,
It was such a big deal, and I was so excited. And you just came in and you were just like, you helped me just like kind of relax. I mean, of course you made me feel beautiful, but your energy is just, it's contagious. It's also calming. It you truly have a gift. And
I appreciate that.
what, I just saw, I was like, this person is super
This
special.
person is your person.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's just makeup, right? And there are 50 million of me. So to an extent, I am replaceable, right? That's why I think it's more important for me to stay true to who I am. I may not be the best artist in the world, but I'm not the worst. I feel like as long as I'm continuing to be true to who I am, making sure that everybody that comes into contact with me feels that light, it empowers me to become better and stronger and greater at what I do, which means every time I get to see that canvas, which also provides me the opportunity to see the canvas again.
Yeah.
I'm mastering it every time. I'm getting better and better. So as long as people give me the opportunity to see them again and paint on their canvas, the better it become.
Yes.
Stick with me. I'm going to stick with you.
I love that. Okay. Here's a question.
Yeah.
What's one beauty myth you wish would disappear? And what's a truth people should know?
A beauty myth I wish would disappear. I got to think about that. What's a myth going on these days? I think we're in a space now where people aren't really into contouring, or what would I say? Oh, I would say a myth. Let me start this over. A myth I feel is just crazy, which I touched on a little bit earlier, is that makeup can hide every and anything. It cannot. It cannot. It can sculpt a little something, but it's not the end all be all, So like I said, I have canvases that come into my space and are like, oh, can you chisel this away? Can you move? No. I'm here for a moment. Not forever.
I'm not God.
I'm not. I'm close to him, but no. That. But this started like years or months before I met you. You gotta do the work, So like making sure your canvas is as pure as it can possibly be. That's drinking your water, exercising, taking your vitamins, and just taking a moment to literally exhale sometimes, because the canvas is what makes everything great, not the makeup. Makeup is cool and it's fantastic, but making sure your canvas is great is a thing. So that's one thing I wish kind of would go away, that makeup just cures everything. And then the second question, I forgot the second part of the question.
Well, you already answered it. It's
Okay.
like really what's the truth people should know, and you basically covered that all. I would like to put in a beauty myth, but this comes from me as a color expert. So a lot of people assume that everyone should wear bronzer, versus a contour. So contour is cool, bronzer is really warm. So if you wear a bronzer and you're a cool undertone, you should be wearing very minimal. I say contour over bronzer because for me, bronzer 100% because I'm a warm undertone.
Yeah.
But someone, and you see this often, they put a ton of bronzer, they are cool, and they look sick.
Ridiculous.
They look sick.
Ashy, mashy.
Yeah,
trashy.
there's so many things that happen. It's like if they're wearing warm and they're cool, it makes them look more orange. So they look almost like this jaundice look.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And there's one other beauty myth. There is warm, cool, and neutral color foundations.
Yes.
But there is no neutral undertone. And so when you're looking for foundation, so I wear a neutral foundation because even though I pull warm, I also have cool elements.
Correct, you do. That's why you see what I'm saying? I love a mix.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, there's companies that have various options for cool, neutral, warm, but I still feel like it's just not, boop.
You're right.
It always needs a little something to completely match up. So you always see me on the back of my hand, like rolling something around because I want it to be perfect for you.
Right.
And that bottle that they may have, that they say may fit, that they've maybe tested, 50 women or men on or whatever, it's still not you. So it has to be a signature color. And that means mixing.
Wouldn't that be great if we could go, this is a great business idea.
I know. I've been thinking about it. Someone told me it was a poor idea. We'll
It's
see.
a fabulous idea. I would go in with you and do this where everybody
less.
could go, quality foundation.
Yes.
You could go mix and match, make like maybe every season or at least twice a year.
Twice a year.
And like make your own.
Yeah. But honestly, like people told me no. Like a sidebar out of this, like people said that's crazy. No one's going to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I feel like if you can create your custom shade, you'd be interested. No, it's too much work. I'm telling you, I thought about this so many times, Celeste. We'll talk about it.
Okay. But I think the last question I'd love to touch upon is just for people watching today. If they're dreaming of becoming, a makeup artist, an artist, maybe someone in their family said, no, it's not okay. You need to be a doctor or a lawyer. Like, what are some of the tips and advice that you would get? Like, no fluff advice, like that you would tell them here? Because maybe they're like, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to be an artist without feeling shamed.
Well, I'm going to say for me, it started with my mother when I told her that I was going to do this. And I mean, she was not happy, to say that. Nobody was happy because I left a really great career. Nobody was happy. Everybody was like, are you okay? Are you on drugs? It was nobody got it, but the message was very clear for me. But my mother said to me at the time, listen, I'm not saying that you're not going to succeed with this, that you won't do well, but do it while your dad and I are around. Do it while we're here. That way, should anything happen, not that we want it to, you won't fall. We'll be here. That's
beautiful.
It is extremely beautiful. It gave me license to really go forth and do it. And even if she didn't say that, which was such gold for me at the time, the message was for me. It wasn't for anybody else. It was so resonating, a sound tuned for only my ears, tuned for my spirit. It was so freaking crystal clear. I couldn't let it go. So I think listening to your voice, and then also, I think what we do, because it's so pretty, people think it's easy work. It's not. So to that, I say, to thine own self be true. If you don't necessarily have the tenacity, you're not really a go-getter, you're not willing to give up the drinking or the partying or the long nights, or you're not willing to study something, sit down. Sit down. You have to really know yourself, because it's going to take a lot of commitment. This kind of job that we're doing is isolation. You're away from the people that you love, the things that you love, because you're on a bigger mission, a bigger path. And you have to understand that mind, body, and soul, because it's going to take your mind, body, and soul to get you through it. So you really have to be in that space where you hear that perfectly tuned message for you, and you feel it, and you walk by faith and not by sight.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you more and where you've come from and where you're at. And your soul is gorgeous. And
it takes one to know one.
It does.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.